Oh, snap. Hold up. You good? Shit, I didn't even know we was live. What's good, y'all? Yeah, I hope everybody doing good, man. You know, I ain't know we was recording. Hope you doing good, man. I hope you doing good. I really hope you're doing good. But today we got a very good special video. Killer has been caught wearing wife's face as a mask. Now, this sounds like some Leatherface type of bullshit, but we just want to get into it. Want to see what's going on. Let's get into the video.
And a duffel bag break in through the main entrance of the home.
Hold up, wait, what? I didn't catch the beginning. I'm sorry.
The footage you are watching is of a home invasion in Claremont County, Ohio. Two intruders carrying several gas canisters and a duffel bag break in through the main entrance of the home and begin burglarizing the residence. After stealing 2 TVs and dousing the entire house in gasoline, the robbers exit through the back door, and within moments...
Is that a dog?
Burglarizing the residence. After stealing 2 TVs and dousing the entire house in gasoline, the robbers exit through the back door.
He just threw the dog, bruh. Like, hold up, did they burn the house with the dog in there?
Break in through the main entrance of the home
and begin
burglarizing the residence. After stealing 2 TVs and dousing the entire house in gasoline,
this why you gotta get them big ass dopamine motherfuckers, man. Because, bro, what you doing, dog? Like, I would've been buying them niggas, bro. Damn.
The explosion could be heard from over a mile away.
911 calls poured in, and by the time the fire department had put out the fire, the house and everything in it had been completely destroyed.
Thankfully, there were no casualties. After checking the security cameras, it was clear to the investigators that this was a case of arson, and possibly an attempted murder. The house that was set on fire actually belonged to 43-year-old Paul Hicks, the prime suspect in one of Ohio's most notorious murder cases. Back in 2001,
Paul's wife, 25-year-old Regina Hicks, went missing and was later found dead inside her car at the bottom of a pond beside a quiet country road. She had been brutally beaten, indicating it was a homicide. However, police were unable to find her killer, and the case went cold. But 14 years later, this robbery would reignite interest in Regina's case. Literally.
At the time of the fire, Paul was staying at a hotel for a work trip over 2 hours away.
He rushed back to Claremont County upon hearing what had happened. While reviewing the footage with the police, he immediately recognized the female intruder as his ex-girlfriend, Kelly.
So you've had some problems with her in the past?
Oh, yeah.
She has been threatening to you in the past.
And that big bitch is your ex?
Apparently, Paul and Kelly were in the middle of an ugly
Don't get me wrong, I love my baby W's now, but that's a bitch.
3 months earlier,
burn a
in
nigga house
March,
down.
Kelly was caught on camera
Like I said in
vandalizing
the previous
Paul's
video,
hot tub.
I'm just calling it in the dishes. You gotta be real
2 months
nasty
ago,
for me to do that title.
She even came back to finish the job later that same night. At one point, she stood up and looked straight into the camera as if she wanted Paul to see how far she was willing to take things. Additionally, the day before the robbery, the two had gotten into an argument about the custody battle, and she began harassing him with phone calls.
Just told her, stop calling me. And then she called, I think, 95 times in a row.
God damn.
Okay, and this was last night.
Yes.
Since there was already an outstanding warrant for the hot tub incident, Kelly was swiftly tracked down and arrested for misdemeanor criminal damage.
So I didn't do anything wrong. I understand. I'm handcuffed like a criminal. I have no record at all. What you have
You got a record now. Let me tell you, once you get a record, it's hard to get it clean. You know what I'm saying? To the point, it might be hard to get a job. That's one of the reasons I'm out here doing this right now.
Warrant. So it's not, if you haven't gone out and killed anybody or anything, it's just a criminal damage warrant. Okay?
Even that is a problem.
The cuffs on, unfortunately. But I did nothing.
Kelly was brought into the interrogation room for an interview.
I blur her face. We didn't really see her on the camera.
Even after being shown video evidence of her involvement in both the hot tub incident and the robbery, Kelly was adamant that the female suspect was not her.
This is the girl that is right. They're trying to say is me, but it's not me. And here's the obvious.
And you guys do resemble each other.
Just like the eyes, the cheeks, and the eyebrows. Other than
And
that,
the
I
weight,
don't have that
and the weight.
distinctive chin.
Kelly
You
told
know,
the detective
I
that at the
forget that.
time of the incident, she was 30 minutes away in her Norwood home. Surprisingly, they were quickly able to confirm this claim, and Kelly was ruled out as a suspect. But
Right.
if Kelly wasn't the person in the video, then who was it? The detectives began to notice all of the strange details surrounding this case. Why would the female intruder, who just so happened to have a striking resemblance to Kelly, completely expose their face in distinct hairstyle? Why would this same person stare into the camera after vandalizing Paul's
Bro,
hot
that right there is so creepy. Why is bro, why is this so creepy? This is creepy, bro.
tub, knowing that it could lead to their arrest? Kelly also said that the phone call harassment accusations were completely unwarranted because she had no contact with Paul that evening whatsoever.
And you have your records from the June 17th that night?
Yeah.
Because the records
did he
I
fake the
find is
calls?
that you made a lot of phone calls to him. You guys have been texting back and forth on the 17th, so this was the night before the fire.
Here's the whole text message conversation.
Okay, I know he's talking about, hey, he's going to go for full custody and all that stuff. And then after that, after between about 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock that night, there's numerous phone calls from your phone to his phone.
Oh, no, that's what I was just showing you right here.
Okay.
I never called him at all. After the last time that I spoke with him is at 6:25.
Okay.
And after that, his number's nowhere. I never
Okay.
called him
So
at
there was no
all.
phone calls?
None.
You got me on
None.
detective
I
mode,
never
y'all.
called him at all.
Somehow, somebody was mimicking Kelly's number and harassing Paul. Upon this realization, Kelly said she knew exactly
it
who
up.
was behind this. Paul
Paul.
himself.
Yep.
She said
Set
that
it
in
up.
the past, she had seen Paul use a website called Spoof Card, which disguises your phone number with a fake virtual number of your choice. Using information provided by the Spoof Card team, the
Y'all better not go on that website, bro. Try to finesse y'all lady, trying to finesse y'all man, trying to finesse somebody with some shit. Y'all better not do that, dog. Keep it real over here. If you love someone, just love them unconditionally, all the way. You don't gotta go do no fake shit. Act like somebody texting your phone. None of that. Hey, let's not go down that road now. You feel me, y'all? Let's keep it playing.
investigators concluded that Paul had set up this fake number under the name of another one of his ex-girlfriends. He had also purchased
This nigga
multiple
devious,
items
boy.
using the same ex's name and bank cards, including a wig that matched Kelly's hair and a creepy custom-made mask from that'smyface.com
Oh my
using
God.
reference photos of Kelly. Many of these photos were displayed on Paul's social media, and some of them originated from Paul's cell phone, meaning he must have uploaded these photos to the website himself. Paul had already been ruled out as one of the intruders, since he was confirmed to be 2 hours away at the time of the robbery. But even though they couldn't identify the intruders,
nigga's a
it
menace.
appeared that Paul was the mastermind behind this elaborate
This some
brain
like
job,
CIA
likely
shit,
to
y'all.
gain full
Do y'all not
custody of
realize
their
this? This
son
nigga
and
got a
collect
fake
the
mask and a
insurance
fake
money
number.
from the fire.
This failed plan
his
resulted
ex.
in a 7-year-long civil suit with Allstate Insurance, who refused to pay out his home insurance policy. Eventually, he was faced with 6 criminal charges as well.
The plan was to
Wait,
frame his
what?
ex-girlfriend and get custody of their child and collect insurance money. But investigators in Claremont County say they did not buy the elaborate scheme and took the case to a grand jury. 43-year-old Paul Hicks is now indicted for aggravated arson, insurance fraud, and perjury.
With all of this attention on Paul, old rumors about his involvement in Regina Hicks' murder were coming back into the spotlight. So, investigators took another look at the evidence collected back in 2001.
So they just arrested that poor little girl from the beginning. That they thought his ex that he got the face mask for. They just arrested her for no reason. I hope they let her go, dog, because she really was innocent.
Your call has been forwarded to an automatic voice message system.
Regina Hicks.
Is not available.
Regina, I don't know where you're at or what you're doing, but I just think you guys
It's me, Paul. Should you be here at 8:39? Give me a call. Bye.
End of message.
She was supposed to come pick my son up. She called me at 7:53. That's when my cell
Damn,
phone
they had
said.
energy cameras in
I don't know exactly
2001?
what she exactly said, but she goes, I'll be
Hey,
here.
I thought this was new technology.
Come pick up Montana at Steve's house,
Yeah,
and she never showed
never
up.
showed up.
Actually, Paul is lying. Regina did show up to pick up their son, but she immediately got into a heated argument with Paul, who then struck her 3 times in the head, knocking her unconscious.
God damn, bro.
When I took it back to my
You
sister,
fucking menace,
I
nigga.
figured if she was gonna show up, she'd show up there or show up the next morning.
You said earlier you thought maybe she just didn't show. She was maybe partying or something.
Yeah, she
Where's
did
the
partying
party
everywhere.
at? Jump.
Bars, people's houses, wherever there's a party.
Paul then tries to convince the detectives that Regina was a drug dealer, despite her family saying she was never involved with drugs whatsoever.
Don't even
He
look
tells
like she
them
would do
that
anything
just
with
1
drugs.
month before this interview, on September 6th, 2001, she got arrested during a traffic stop for having marijuana and pills inside her vehicle.
She had marijuana and she was going to Kentucky and
She got busted with dope?
no, she got busted here in Willard. I don't know if she was taking it or what she was doing. The pills should be at the house, but she didn't sell it. And then, she got busted for that.
Which did the charge of? What kind of dope she had?
Charged her with nothing.
Paul once again is leaving out key details about this incident, making it seem like Regina had some shady drug deals that could have led to somebody murdering her. What Paul isn't mentioning is that his best friend, Steve Gates, was actually the person who called the police on Regina. When Regina was pulled over and arrested, she said that Paul and Steve had planted these drugs in her vehicle and were trying to set her up in order for Paul to gain full custody of their son, Montana.
You're about to custody your boy?
Yep. If you give me joint custody, I'll give you everything you want. The furniture, everything. And she said, okay, I'll do that. She decided to change her mind. She's not going to give me joint custody. Somebody told her she's not going to get child support if I get joint custody.
So this was all about custody.
She's got a diminished twist to her, as you could say, that
Wait,
she don't want to see me.
I'm lost.
Some important context is that according to Regina's family and friends, Paul was a controlling and abusive husband, and Regina had been considering leaving him for a while. 6 months before her death, their house was destroyed in, you guessed it, a house fire, and she and Paul split the insurance money. Suddenly, Regina had money in the bank and decided it was a good time to break free from her abusive marriage. So she filed for a divorce. Paul did not want to pay child support, so he made it clear that he wanted full custody. However, in less than 2 months, Paul had blown through most of the insurance money, lost his job, and was soon due to start paying child support. Despite this clear motive to want Regina out of the picture, Paul insisted that he didn't try to set her up back in September. And more importantly, he vehemently denied killing her. The detectives interviewing Paul asked him to do a polygraph test. Paul agreed. However, when he came in the next day to do the test, they ran into a problem.
Okay, first of all, I guess I'm going to ask, are you willing to take the examination? You know,
I thought these were, this is 2001. I was about to say, these aren't admissible in court, but you gotta remember, this is...
At this point, the polygraph examiner decided not to go through with the test, since the alcohol and pills in Paul's system could mess up the results. However, the examiner went forward with the pre-test interview anyway. During the interview, he made up a fake scientific test called the ozone atomic test.
I mean, it determines time of death. No, like I said, it determines what's with her at the time of death. There's particles that are floating inside the car.
He was trying to make Paul think that the crime lab had overwhelming evidence against him, which would hopefully elicit a confession. However, the examiner was only able to get basic information out of Paul before the interview was concluded, and Paul was free to go. Following this interview, the detectives struggled to find any new evidence or leads, and the investigation eventually fizzled out.
We just want justice.
It was like 10 years.
Lasella Holbrook's dining room table speaks volumes about what she's been doing in the year since her daughter Regina Hicks' murder. Clippings, posters, and handbills, all designed to keep the case in the public eye.
Somewhere somebody knows something. It's just a matter, is the people afraid to speak up?
But no one has spoken up. Just how did Regina end up beaten in the head inside of her car in this pond where she died of drowning? Worst of all, she left a 5-year-old son, Montana.
Damn.
Tell me about your mom.
My brother will grow up without a mother, bro.
You miss her, huh?
I know Paul didn't do this. I raised Paul. I know what kind of child Paul is. So I know Paul didn't do this.
Well, he did.
18 years later, in January of 2019...
But it was 10 years! 18! God damn!
Paul was facing
Yeah, I
6
don't
criminal
think I was
charges
even
related
born
to
when
the
this happened. I was
2015
like
house
1 years
fire,
old.
2 counts of aggravated arson, 3 counts of perjury, and 1 count of insurance fraud. He was offered a plea deal which eliminated 5 of the charges and reduced the remaining insurance fraud charge to a misdemeanor. He accepted the deal in 2022 and received 3 years of probation. As for his civil suit against Allstate Insurance, he ultimately lost that case and was forced to pay $400,000. Regina's family, who still believed Paul was responsible for Regina's death, saw these punishments as a slap on the wrist and urged authorities to reopen Regina's case.
For years, her mom, Lysella Holbrook, spent thousands on billboards, rewards, newspaper ads to keep people talking about the case and conducting her own interviews on her daughter's death.
My mom ended up getting cancer and passing away.
Damn.
For over 2 decades, the family has...
Yeah, that is sad, bro. So the mom died. Regina's mom died, so she didn't even get a chance to get closure for what happened to her daughter. To the point that the brother, the sibling, had to take on that responsibility of figuring out what happened, of trying to get closure from this case. Like, bro, 18 years is crazy. Like, cause so much could happen between that time span, from the time where she passed away, 2001, till now, 2019, 2018. And it's like, bro, anything could have happened. That's crazy.
Lived with one question: who killed Regina?
That was until Ashley Ford, who hosts her own true crime podcast, began looking into Regina's case.
I wanted to see if we could get some attention to a cold case that definitely deserves justice.
As she dove into the evidence, she quickly realized that there was one person that could hold the answers the family was looking for: Paul's friend, Steve Gates. As we mentioned earlier, Steve had called 911 to report Regina for the illegal possession of drugs in her vehicle.
Also, Regina was on her way to Steve's house right before she disappeared. It seemed possible that after their ploy to get Regina arrested for possession didn't work,
Paul and Steve decided to take things to the next level and get rid of her themselves.
Ashley and the family raised enough awareness about the case that it was reopened by the Huron County authorities.
An interview was set up with Steve, and the first thing he said to the investigators was that he was ready to tell them everything,
18
as
years
long
later.
as he had immunity.
Yeah.
The prosecutors agreed, and Steve
18
began
years later.
telling them what happened on the night of October 18th, 2001. Steve said that Regina pulled into his driveway. She was there to pick up Montana, her and Paul's 4-year-old son. Paul walked up to her car, and the couple got into an intense argument. Steve didn't want to get involved, so he went to his garage, turned on the radio, and tinkered around for a bit. When he came back outside, Regina's car was now parked near the road, and Paul was standing at her passenger side door. He went over and noticed that Regina was unresponsive. He asked Paul what was wrong with her, and Paul said that she was dead. At this point in the interview, Steve broke down in tears, but he eventually composed himself and finished his story. Steve told Paul to call 911.
Y'all doing in that situation? Like, if this is your dog, your homeboy, your homegirl, and she or whoever, your homeboy, your homegirl, person that you locked in with, they go in and do some dumb shit with their significant other, like, and then one of them just end up catching a body, but the person you're closest to is responsible for it. Like, well, like, what do you do in that situation? Or do you take it to the grave? Do you snitch? Do you mind your business and just do you call troll and be like, yo, this is here, but you don't really tell them too much? Like, it's
But Paul refused. They argued for a bit before Paul said to Steve that he was now an accomplice and he had to help get rid of the body.
No. You're not gonna do that to me, bro. I'm gonna take you out and you going with her. Or nigga, I'm gonna have to go tell them people. I'm sorry. What? Accomplice.
Paul got into Regina's car and started driving toward a pond several
manipulation.
miles away.
Steve followed behind in Paul's truck.
That nigga Steve got manipulated.
Montana in the
Look,
back seat.
yeah, you got
They
manipulated,
eventually
bro.
made it to the pond, and Paul drove straight in, Regina still in the passenger seat. Paul then
That's
escaped the
crazy.
vehicle out of the window and hopped into the car with Steve. During their drive home, Paul called Regina's cell phone.
And
to
mind
make
y'all,
it
this
seem
is all
like
in
she had never
2001, so
shown
they
up.
don't got no CCTV like we got they can't really be tracking phones like that.
Steve
Like,
drove Paul to his sister Crystal's house since he was living with her at the time. Paul thought she wouldn't be home for a while, but that day she just so happened to get off of work early.
I came home to a mess in my house, and I was headed to the bathroom, and he tried to cut me off.
Who's he?
My brother. And he said it was a mess, I would be mad. And when I proceeded to go to the bathroom anyhow, his muddy clothes were floating in the bathtub. We've been trying to clean them. Steve was sitting on the couch, and like I said, I think I surprised them both because I got off earlier than normal. He had scratches on I believe it was his neck or part of his face, somewhere in this area. He said a tree had fallen on him, scratched him.
Steve said that in the years following this incident, Paul threatened him and his family, telling him to keep his mouth shut. Following his interview, Steve and the investigators drove to his property, where he gave them a more thorough walkthrough of what happened that night.
And then I come around the corner. They were like standing maybe here somewhere. I just remember this little swale. They were in this little, and they were like yelling at each other.
And you were over there. So when you came out of the garage, where were they at?
Down there, down by that fence or behind the dump trailer. I just remember being.
man, I would blew up the whole property, bro. All the acres, bro. I would have set everything on fire, dog.
Because I'm like,
right.
You know, you're involved and everything else, you know, and it just.
How long do you think you were standing by the car with Hicks?
Minutes.
And then you get in his car and follow.
Oh.
With Steve's cooperation on their side, the prosecutors finally felt confident enough in their case to arrest Paul. They followed his movements for a while before pulling him over on a country road.
Get that nigga up out of here, dog. Get that nigga up out of here.
All right, here we are. Come on, step out.
We're gonna go over here in the cruiser. Sure. Paul, I don't know if they told you yet, we had a warrant for your arrest. Okay. Nobody's told me that. So what am I being arrested for? There was an indictment.
Paul was transported back to the station, where the detectives tried to interview him. But as far as Paul was concerned, an interview wasn't on the agenda.
It's not being disrespectful for me, because give what you need to do and show me the charges so I can make my call.
Do you want to know what the indictment is?
No, I want to make my phone call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we would like to talk to you.
Go ahead and get this nigga life, bro.
I don't want you to talk to me about nothing.
So you don't have anything to say?
I have nothing to say.
Yeah, you know you guilty.
My phone call. They were supposed to bring my phone, which I know is a lie. They're not going to.
Well, you'll get your phone call when you get into the jail.
Oh, I'm not in the jail?
No, this is an interview room here.
Take me to jail.
So you're going to.
Let's go.
So you're going to go.
You're not running the show here. Okay. Well, I'll remain silent. Well, then that's fine.
That's fine.
You don't get to you when they get time to get to you. Oh, I know. I said in cars. Well, we don't get it. I know you don't. You guys don't.
I don't like this nigga Sabina boy. Nigga playing
Since
like
Paul
he
was being
innocent.
stubborn, the interview was concluded and Paul was taken to the county jail. He was charged with murder and kidnapping. Paul pled not guilty and was denied bond.
We continue to follow huge developments in a 24-year-old cold case. A mother found dead in her car. Now, her estranged husband has been indicted for murder.
The recent developments have opened a door and led to, at long last, an indictment. Now it's up to us to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
Paul's trial began on December 10th, 2025. The state had no physical evidence to directly link Paul to the murder, so they mainly had to rely on witness testimony in order to convince the jury of Paul's guilt. More specifically, they had to make sure that the jury believed Steve Gates' story. The same Steve Gates that helped dispose of the victim's body, lied to the authorities, and kept Paul's horrific secret for 24 years.
Steve Gates discussed what happened on October 18th, but he lied.
That's an ugly ass white man, boy. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, man.
Admit to you that he lied. He lied to the sheriff's department. He lied for 24 years. He could have continued lying. Nothing would have happened to him. He had nothing to gain by coming clean. Steve Gates will tell you that.
To everybody's surprise, the defense decided not to give an opening statement, so the state started calling their witnesses. They called several members of Regina's family to tell the court what they knew about her relationship with Paul.
Was he controlling as far as the relationship went?
Yes, like she would only talk to her mom when he wasn't home. Towards the end, when she was kind of wanting to end things because she knew he was with Jansen, he pretty much told her that nobody would want her. If he couldn't have her, nobody could.
Please read what you heard the defendant say.
I hate you, die. You're a ball and chain, old lady, dumb ass. You're worth more to me dead than you are alive.
Steve Gates requested that his identity be kept hidden during the trial, so no cameras or audio recording devices were allowed during his testimony. The state's next few witnesses corroborated Steve's story, like Jimmy Patrick, Regina's uncle, who had apparently seen her car at Steve's house on the night of the murder.
I was driving by Yates' house. I just glanced over and looked, and I said, that looks like her car.
It's crazy that they all can remember this 18, 16 years ago.
Also corroborated Steve's testimony with her story about coming home to a muddy bathroom and Paul's scratched up face. Jansen Phipps, Paul's ex-girlfriend at the time of Regina's death, told the jury about the days following her disappearance. She said that after Paul left his sister's house, he came over to stay the night, but he snuck out while she was sleeping.
I went to sleep, I woke up, and Paul was gone, but I didn't think anything of it, and I went back to sleep.
When he got back, he told Jansen that he had accidentally left a pair of boots at his sister's house, so he went there to grab them.
What did he tell you about muddy boots?
That he had a pair of muddy boots from the day that Regina went missing, because they were digging the pond, and he put them on his sister's back porch, and somebody stole them.
She soon learned of Regina's death, and she noticed that Paul had a sudden interest in true crime and polygraph tests.
Did you also watch crime shows?
We watched a lot of forensic files and just shows about how people would get rid of evidence and things like that. He told me that that there were ways to beat a lie detector test.
Did he talk to you about
when you become one,
things like that?
you get invested into it.
I feel
It became what he was
in my memory, it had a yellow covering. It was a softback, it wasn't a hardback book. But yeah, it was how to beat a lie detector. Told me he was just trying to protect himself.
She also testified that Paul had admitted to planting drugs in Regina's car as an attempt to get her arrested.
He told me that he and Steve worked together to plant drugs in Regina's car to keep her from getting custody of Montana.
Throughout this trial, the defense leaned into the lack of physical evidence to plant reasonable doubt into the jury's minds.
There's nothing that you found when you reviewed the DNA to implicate Paul Hicks. Isn't that true?
There's nothing at all that I can compare to anybody. It's just simply not sufficient for comparison purposes.
They also questioned Steve Gates' credibility. They suggested that he was using Paul as a scapegoat by lying about his involvement in order to gain immunity.
The state conceded that Steve Gates has lied for 24 years. Is that your position?
That's what I've been told, sir.
And you can't rule out, as you sit there, that he is going to lie tomorrow.
I can't. No, sir, I can't.
They then called out the former sheriff for having tunnel vision on Paul from the very beginning.
You testified you're trying to rule people out. You got her best friend telling you she's having relations with 4 guys and you don't send anything to BCI in regards to those 4 men.
We did not send anything in regards to those 4 men, that's right.
So then, as you sit here today, you didn't rule out those 4 potential men as suspects in this case.
Nothing led us to believe those 4 people were suspects.
After a 2-week trial, it was time for the closing arguments.
Paul Hicks assaulted his wife, Regina Hicks, hit her over the head, stuffed her into a passenger seat of her 1994 Camaro. We are fully confident you will find beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant, Paul Hicks, is guilty of murdering Regina Hicks.
To find Paul guilty, you have to find him guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, the absolute highest standard in our legal system. Their whole case was based upon speculation and conjecture. Remember back in the 70s or 80s with the "Where's the Beef" commercials? Where's the beef? Where's the beef? Well, let's get to the beef in the case. 0 forensic evidence linking Paul to the alleged crime scenes.
It happened 18 years ago.
0. Nothing. 0 forensic evidence to corroborate the scientifically unverified fiction of Charlatan Gates. They checked for blood, hair, skin, body fluids. Nothing. There's also 4 other men that were potential suspects, but they didn't send any testing out.
Motive. That's what it's about here. Regina's independence.
I feel like I'm watching a
Regina
court show,
wanted child
dog.
support. Regina wanted custody. Regina fought back. You don't fight back.
Excuse me, y'all.
At this time, then, we will take a time for the jury to begin their deliberation.
After just 3 hours of jury deliberations, a verdict was reached.
On the indictment for count 1 being murder, the jury finds the defendant guilty of murder.
Yeah, go sit.
Paul continued to shake his head as he was found guilty on
Boy,
all
nigga.
of his charges.
Boy, nigga.
His sentencing took place the next month, on January 9th, 2026.
Damn, that was
Before
recent.
Paul learned his fate, Regina's family gave their impact statements, expressing the depth of the pain and grief Paul had caused them.
Regina
you
was
let a whole
intelligent, far more
mother,
intelligent than you.
you let a whole mother, you let her mother pass away and not get no closure for knowing what happened to her daughter. Like, you
She had
deserve
a
to
rare
rot, bro.
kindness and a heart that would have only grown stronger with time.
I got a
She brought
special
light
place for
into
you,
the lives
dog.
of others simply by being herself. She would have made a real impact on this world. This was a calculated act of control by a man who believed he had the right to decide whether his wife lived or died, and you made that choice. You erased her from her son's daily existence. You silenced the voice that would have guided him. You stole the mother who would have comforted him, protected him, corrected him, and loved him through every stage of his life. He grew up without her wisdom, her reassurance, and her presence. Regina will be remembered forever. You will be held accountable and forgotten.
Paul Hicks, you're a monster. I hope Paul
Wait, we
Hicks
know
and Joe
about your
Hicks see
YouTube video,
Regina's
nigga.
face every night of their lives. I hope you, Paul Hicks, get a disease that eats you away, slowly and very painfully.
Damn.
I hope you rot in hell, Paul Hicks.
Damn.
You think you're above the law, but they finally got you.
Paul was not born a monster. Monsters are made. They are created through choices, through entitlement, through being enabled and never held accountable. Over time, Paul was allowed to believe he had power over others and that he could have control, harm, and destroy without consequence. And that belief turned him into exactly what we see
I ain't
today.
gonna lie, she reading
Regina
like
was everything he was not. She was a
she reading like
beautiful
a fifth grader,
spirit.
bro.
She carried light, kindness, and warmth into the lives around her.
Your Honor, this case could have been solved 24 years ago if the Hernando County Sheriff Department and Dane Howard would have done their job, but they didn't. So I want to thank you, this court, and the jury for getting justice for Regina and my family. As far as saying anything to Paul, he don't care. I'm not going to say
Fuck that
anything.
nigga.
Only thing I got to say to him is get used to prison food and don't drop the soap. Thank you, Your Honor.
Montana, Paul and Regina's now
Yeah.
28-year-old son, gave a written impact statement which was read to the court by a victim's advocate. I stand before you as the biggest victim of this tragedy. I grew up without a mother and was shunned by my mother's
That's what I
family
said,
and
dog.
treated like an outsider. My whole life has been affected by this and is still being affected
You
today.
see, and that's the sad part, bro. Like the son. Let's finish the
Can't
video, then I'll get to that point.
During this impact statement, it became clear that Montana wasn't fully convinced that his father had killed his mother. To me, there is no justice as to lack of evidence. Nothing has been solved, and nothing will be until the truth comes out about who really did this to my mother. Do I feel like he should be punished? No, but anyone who committed a crime should pay. I lost my mom, and now I'm losing my dad. Montana then asked the judge for leniency, urging mental health treatment for his dad, rather than incarceration.
What?
After taking everything into consideration, the judge handed down Paul's sentence.
There is no reason for any leniency in this case. The defendant had the benefit of roaming free for the last quarter of a century before
Thank
facing
you.
justice here today. The court's total sentence then would be 25 years to life.
Paul sat emotionless as he learned his fate. He
25,
was taken to the
yeah.
Lake Erie Correctional Institution
He might
in
die in that
Conneaut,
bit.
Ohio, where he will spend the rest of his life
Yeah,
behind bars.
yeah, he died in that motherfucker, and he died in that motherfucker. But what I wanted to say, y'all, is right here when they were when they're going over the son's
Until the
letter.
truth-
Child bears the sins of the father, and you see that here, like wholeheartedly, dog. Because look, fam, in this letter, bro, the son basically said he was shunned by the mother's family because of the father, and then now he wasn't close with his mother's side of the family. He didn't have a mother. He wasn't close with the father. because obviously this happened. And I don't know how it was at the father side of the family, but basically, you now have a kid who's like, what, 27, 28, 29, growing up and probably like enduring trauma and mental health and things like that, and probably might go out and do other stuff because of the fact that he had to deal with this, and it wasn't even his fault. He just came into the world, and this is the cards he was dealt. You know what I'm saying? And that's how it is for a lot of people in this world. But I just point that out to be like, if you're going through anything rough or anything like that, man, you ain't alone. Like a lot of motherfuckers are going through some bullshit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of motherfuckers do have trauma. You know what I'm saying? But it's just the way you carry yourself with that trauma. Are you gonna let it eat you up, or you gonna be resilient and stand on top of it? I wish the best for the family. As far as for Regina Hicks's family, I wish the best for their family. I pray peace for the mother that passed away and never got the conclusion that she needed. And I hope that the son is able to maneuver throughout this world and not feel like he has to carry this burden or this trauma, or like he has to do things to kind of numb him. Like, I hope he's okay mentally, physically, spiritually, in all ways. I wouldn't wish this on nobody, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, hell no, fam. But that nigga, yeah, that nigga go ahead and rock, bro. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead and drop that soap too, my nigga. They gonna love that. But anyway, y'all, this was a very this took a about 1,000 turns, bro, because it went from the lady in the beginning, got falsely framed, and then this dude that made a whole mask. Like, this was a very weird video, but I'm glad we got to watch it together, y'all. So that was Killer Husbands caught wearing wife's So that was Killer Husbands caught wearing wife's face as a mask. I do appreciate y'all for watching. I do appreciate y'all for pulling up to the screen. If you did pull up, if you haven't pulled up, pull up to the screen. You know what I'm saying? We're live on Twitch damn near every day. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate y'all for tuning in again. I love y'all, and I hope y'all have an amazing rest of y'all day, amazing night, amazing afternoon. And make sure you pick your significant other right and stay out of trouble. Make good decisions. Stay off drugs. Be happy. Yeah, man, I'm out, y'all. I appreciate y'all.